What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. Hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm Dom with the Great Man Sauce. Special pod sauce, special guest, familiar face on the podcast now. Second showing, but he hasn't got his right-hand man. He's come solo.
Flying solo tonight.
Yeah. Who have we got, Saucy?
We got Chris Bilston, also known for our podcast that we did with PS Grading. And welcome to the show, mate. Hope
Thanks
you
for
are
having
well.
me, boys. For someone that doesn't really like podcasting or never thought I would be doing a podcast, I've been doing more than my fair share recently, which has been interesting to say the least.
Definitely. And we've all got faces for radio. Unfortunately, we put these videos up on YouTube, so people have to watch us and see us, the physical form.
Have you guys got recognised down in public before?
No.
I did on the weekend. I know it was at a card show. So
at a card show we have before.
Yeah,
at a card show we have, but
to be honest, I didn't expect it. Someone's like, "I know your face. I've seen you before." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Really?"
There we go. You always just hope you know my face in a good way, not maybe something.
Not on Australia's Most Wanted or something.
I genuinely reckon if people came up to like the three of us, because the hobby's such a niche market, and that's sports cards. If people are listening and wondering, I just imagine another human being looking at us and doing the whole Conor McGregor and going, "Who the fuck is that guy? Like, why do they want to shake this guy's hand or take a photo with this? Who's this bloke?" It's like, what are you? Just randoms.
It's so random, but it's that's one of the things I like about the hobby is that it is random.
100%.
Like I met a guy who I used to work with, I want to say 8 years ago. Met him randomly at the show. Didn't know he was going. Knew he was a bit of a collector. And him and BJ grew up in the same street, 30 years ago. No idea that we all knew each other in separate ways in separate lives. So it's really interesting, and that's what it's such a good place to be. And everyone's there to they like cards, but they're also humans that love sport away from cards.
Definitely. And and that's the thing, like doing like podcasts, especially yourselves. Like, I'll get you to touch on the PS grading podcast that you've got. That you've started. I think you're 3 episodes in now.
3 episodes in. So we've got different cats in the building, and I gave them all a mission to let's create content away from cards, and then hopefully we all build fan bases separately, and then the plan was to launch PSG, the podcast, and then bring all of those together and try and build a platform. And it's been funny. One of the guys did a podcast just about local Queensland AFL footy and got a huge reaction. He ended up doing, I don't know if you've seen the Chicken Connoisseur on YouTube, but he does reviews of fried chicken places in London. And one of the guys started doing canteen reviews of local footy, and it took off. He was getting recognized.
He's interviewed Dane Swan on one of these podcasts.
Yeah, Dane Swan. We went to watch a footy game with him. He's interviewed Mitch Robertson, who's huge in the Twitch, YouTube stuff. He's got his own vlog.
He's big on TikTok as well, Mitch Robertson.
He's
all over the socials.
He's
all over the socials.
I don't know TikTok. I hate him. I'm not a huge fan of social media in general. But I run 5 Instagram accounts now, so it's crazy.
It's always going to happen.
You can't.
But it's good. But the best thing, and what I was trying to bring it all back to is the fact that the hobby is not just card related stuff, especially when you meet these people, and it might be they're into sports cards, but the good thing is outside of sports cards, they're usually, like you said, they're massive sports fans, or if there's someone into I don't know, Dragon Ball Z cards or Pokemon cards, TCG, they're also a massive fan of that TV show. So there's
anime.
Heaps of different conversation starters that happen.
And the artwork that's on T-shirts. There's so many different levels. I think people sort of get lost in the card spot, but there's so many others.
And that's the thing. And then this one will be a lot different for people that are listening and viewing. So we're going to deep dive into a few different things that Chris has been involved in over his time. And then we will finish talking about platinum standard grading because they've got a few big things coming up in the next month or so. So starting with over the next week.
It's been a big few weeks planning, but it's Hobby Hangout was the first big one, and then there's a trip to the US, and then I'm literally gone for a month, come back for 2 weeks, and then we're down in Melbourne for the Hobby Hangout there.
Bang, going to be big. So we'll get it started. Just a bit about your background, like where'd you grow up? We know you've moved a few times, and just stuff that you fell in love with as a kid. Your hobbies.
Sweet. So I was born in Essendon Hospital, which no longer exists. I think the first place I lived in Melbourne was Greenvale, small cul-de-sac. One of my next door neighbours played for Essendon at the time. Dustin Fletcher lived sort of at the end of the street or the next street, and he was probably the oldest kid in our age group, I guess, and he was sort of the babysitter of the street. Had no choice but to support Essendon. My grandparents did. My parents did, so I had no choice with that. And then we moved to Sydney when I was five, for my dad's work. He was in shipping, so he just moved for work. So we moved up to Sydney and we settled in the Shire, which is about 35, 40 minutes south of Sydney. And I was there till 18, but played rugby league. Like the first sport I played was rugby league, so that's probably my passion, my sport passion. Played that, and my dad traveled a lot with work around Asia, so I got the bug real early, and sort of knew from a young age, I'm talking like 12, 13, that I didn't want to live in Australia. I wanted to travel. So I think I was 19, and they had moved to Malta by that stage. And so I was like, I'll use Malta as a base and then travel around Europe. And was supposed to be gone, I think 3 or 4 weeks in total. But I ended up staying like on and off for about 10 years.
Bloody hell.
So that was random, very random.
That's sick,
it just all like fell into place, if you know what I mean. Like met the right people when I landed, joined up with a rugby union team, played there, and then fell into gambling's very big. Well, it's a tax haven for gambling companies, Malta. So sort of fell into the gambling space, and I was so into sports anyway. And I was like, what, I can, make money and work watching sport. Like, who wouldn't do that? Did that for, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years in the gambling space, and then moved back to Australia, and then just continued that. So worked for the couple of big name companies in Australia, like Ladbrokes, Luxbet / Tab, and then BetEasy, and then Sportsbet.
Well, let's get into some of this. Obviously, some experiences. So obviously Malta was the base there. So some of the countries you did travel to, obviously Europe's very accessible with Malta as your base.
Yeah. For England, I don't know how many times I've been there.
Been
25
any
at a
EPL
guess.
games?
So interesting story with that is my parents, they first lived in Southampton, and when they'd got there, I think Southampton had been demoted and then lost points, and then relegated, lost points, and then demoted. I think they started one of the seasons like minus 12 points. So by the time I got there, I think they were in League One. And my dad's work had sponsored St Mary's, the stadium, and they only locked in a 1-year deal. I'm like, nah, don't lock in 3 or 5, because generally these teams like Southampton, they've got so much money behind them that they're not in the lower leagues for long. Signed the 1-year deal, and then they went promotion. We're in the Premier League in like 2 years. And by that stage, they obviously wanted to charge more for the sponsorship.
Yeah.
But been a couple Premier League games. I went to a bit of a shit one. I think it was Arsenal Tottenham, but it was the last game of the season. There was nothing to play for. There was no atmosphere. I think that was at the Emirates. But I think my favourite game would be like a League One game, Southampton Burnley. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have been to these like other, like the town is just all
small
about the game.
Oh,
there's still 25,000. But the whole city is just involved in this game. Like, restaurants closed, everything's closed. The only thing's open is really pubs, and they've all got signs out the front where it's just like locals only. Am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, locals only, away teams, fuck off. Like, just so brutal. Just straight to the point.
So,
and then
go. Sorry.
Oh, so and this game meant nothing. These were like at the time, up at a mid-table games, I think. But the Southampton fans chased the Burnley bus throwing rocks.
This is what I was going to say. Like, I've heard a lot of those crazy stories, and someone told me a story recently that he went over to England for a couple games. He's a massive Arsenal fan, and he travelled away with Arsenal to White Hart Lane against Tottenham, and they actually secluded him in an area at White Hart Lane. So then he said, so I wouldn't be killed. By
so
the fans.
One of the first ones I went to, I think it was a game in Fulham, it might have been. But they had these, getting out of the subway, the tube, they had these like cages almost where if you were in, if you were Fulham, you go this way. If you're from the other team, you go that way. And you sort of like sectioned off. So you're walking the street like two different, like they're just like a huge like fence in the middle of the road that you just can't mix, which is crazy. But like the passion on that, they sing for 90 minutes, and a lot of them wouldn't even be watching the game. They're just singing songs about the away team. It's a different world. Like I went to a rugby league game in Sydney on the weekend, and like Manly and Melbourne supporters are sitting right next to each other. There's just no, they're both just enjoying the game. There's no rivalry, or not rivalry, but there's no
animosity towards the other people that are wearing different.
Yeah, I know, like AFL, like there's huge animosity. Like you always see people yelling at Collingwood and Essendon hate each other, and Carlton and Collingwood don't like each other. But like it's a bit different over there. It's just a different world, really. Like I don't know if you've seen that Sunderland Till I Die doco, but they live and breathe.
It's on my list of things to watch, but it's apparently amazing. It's a great,
so good. Like I got a soft spot for Sunderland now. Like after watching that. Because these people that live up there, like it's not all they've got, but it's
a religion, man. Football's a religion. It's a global religion. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Maybe here in Australia, it's not as well. It isn't as crazy, but even the United States with the MLS, it's not as crazy. But in Europe, especially, it is just, and South America. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's funny what Turkey, the basketball's insane. Like they have flares, and I went to a water polo game in Malta and had flares. Like I got searched going into the game. And it was like, a couple hundred people.
It's like bloody people rocking up to our basketball game on a Monday, Saucy, lighting flares and chanting and losing the plot.
Where do you guys play
at? We just play social.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Saucy's better than the division that we're playing in by an absolute mile, but it's good for me. Good for shit kickers like myself to run around for two halves and jack up 0 points and 0 rebounds. No, I'm glad that they don't. Just points. Points.
Okay. They need stats for screen set, mate, because that's Dom's role, mate. Screens and get the boards, hustle.
Just do the tough work that no one else wants to do, mate.
Yeah, exactly right. That's in basketball, but my number one sport is like soccer. So back playing futsal and stuff now, which is always good. So you're doing anything with yourself? You rugby at the moment, or
I played indoor cricket for work because there's an indoor stadium, stadium, I guess, right near work, and so we started a team on a Thursday night. One of the guys that works in the building used to captain England, so we tried to rope him in, but he wouldn't play. He goes, "I'll come down and watch," and he lasted like 15 minutes and left and goes like, "This is not real cricket." It was my first time playing indoor cricket. I probably wouldn't play again. I think I lasted like 4 or 5 games, and I'm not going to say pulled, but like did something to my calf muscle. And I just said, no, I'm retired. I'm too old and fat to play these games anymore. But it was a bit of fun. But yeah.
The
So it
social
did last
aspect's
long.
always
It
good.
did last long.
No. And like when I was living in Malta, the body started giving way because it's pretty brutal sport. But the social part of it was the thing that kept me going because it was a good time.
I could just imagine
There's
it.
a lot of partying in Malta as well. I've seen this.
Yeah, so it's I don't know if people don't have heard a lot about it, but I didn't know anything about it before I got there. My first impressions weren't good. Like landing, everything was that sandstone color, like that yellowy, and like flying in, it's like fuck. Look, this place is tiny. And then the first at the airport, like I knew nothing about it. Like I knew Mario Fennick, who's a rugby league player. They call him the Maltese Falcon. That's all I knew. And then I got to the airport and the McDonald's sign, like I'm used to the Macca's with the big M, and it was like really, really small. And in my head, I'm thinking, is this like a Muslim country or something, and they can't advertise like the Western M or whatever? Like I had no idea. So, and I was so wrong. Like it's like a mini Ibiza, I guess. So like it's a party island, 300 days of sunshine a year. It was really, really cool. And I was 19 at the time. So for me, it was like an absolute heaven.
Got some party stories for us. We need to get a few of those before we get into some business.
I'm pretty sure there's like, athletes go down there sometimes into Malta. As well. Footballers.
Alfonso, what's his name? Alfonso Davies.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's there at the moment. He just turned up randomly to a five-a-side.
It makes sense, because places like that you wouldn't expect like elite sportsmen to go to. It's a bit of an escape. If you go to Ibiza, you expect to see everyone there. So
yeah. Malta have a deal with I think Sheffield Wednesday. So Sheffield Wednesday go there during the preseason. Man United have been there during the preseason. I'm trying to remember the guy who I saw. Bleach blonde hair, played for United and shouldn't have. He wasn't good enough. What's his name?
Darren Fletcher.
No. Bleach blonde hair. Is it like Alan or something? Yeah. It'll come to me later.
Alan
yeah, he was no
Smith?
good.
Oh, yeah, Alan Smith.
Alan Smith. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, I ran into him at a club one night. Who else did I meet? One of the guys from S Club 7.
Oh, yeah, that's good. S Club 7. Yeah.
Probably my best or one of my favourite stories from Malta would be we won the level of rugby was like pretty crap. Like if I was playing here, I would not make it. I'd be 4th division local. I'm rubbish. Over there, I was okay. Like,
almost like God status.
No.
He's in the top 30%.
Well, let's put it this way. I played in the first game I played a trial, and I went straight into the starting side. So after a trial, I went straight in. And then, so we dominated for a couple of years. Like we didn't lose games. So we won the league, the cup, everything. So they call it the treble, I think it was. And we'd won this game. And Malta's a really funny place. It's about who you know, and everybody knows everybody. But there's this like upper echelon of people that just have access to everything, I guess. And one of the guys that played in our team, his dad owned strip clubs. And anyway, we went to this strip club, and I don't remember a lot from the night, but I've woken up the next morning and they're like, "Where's the trophy?" Well, I don't know. I have no idea where it is. Like, well, you were the last person to be seen with the trophy at 4 a.m. at this strip club, and I'm like, "Nah, no way, not a chance." And so anyway, that I got the blame, so I had to call this bloke. I'm like, "Can you put me in touch with the guy whose dad that owned the club?" Put me in touch with the manager or whatever. And so I've had to go to this strip club the next day at like midday and get this trophy. And I've got the trophy and they've just handed it to me and it's like in 2 or 3 pieces. And I'm like, do you like, I asked them, what did I say? Like, do you like, what time did I leave? Or do you remember anything? And they go, yeah, you were swinging this thing around. And it was this big cup. Like it was probably 3/4 of a meter high and like big. And they said, yeah, the cup thing fell off the top, and there was a bit of not an issue, but like I'd hit something or whatever. And I just took like, nah, it was It was a good time, trust me. So it was really funny. The strip clubs were the only thing that stayed open till after 4 a.m. So obviously everything shuts at 4, and then the strip clubs stay open till as long as there's people there.
Bloody hell. It's a different world over
That's
there,
mental.
man. Different world. So obviously very, very well traveled, which is good. You probably got another million stories. We could literally be on here for hours and hours.
Oh yeah, a lot of them I don't want to tell.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It makes sense.
So the places I went to, I loved Greece, like the Greek islands was good. Spain was really good. I loved Valencia. Ibiza was good. Where else? Italy, I went multiple times. Sicily, because Sicily's like a 90-minute ferry ride from Malta, so that's a place you go to a lot. I loved Florence. Rome was pretty cool. Where else? I loved Poland.
Yeah,
Poland was excellent. Amsterdam was really good. I went there a couple of times.
Damn.
Yeah, the dam's really good. So strange. So strange.
Yeah, Saucy's been
It's
there.
I call it the Disneyland for adults.
Yeah, I get that. But it's just also like it's just weird. Like everyone's on bikes. That freaks me out a bit. And obviously a lot of people are high, and there's trams and bikes. It can be a bit scary. Where else?
It's good, mate. I love it. I love it that you just hire a bike and you whiz around on a push bike everywhere. Now you can probably just get those e-scooters. They probably got them there.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I love those things.
Those.
Absolutely love those things.
There'd be as many of those in the river as there was bikes, mate, that they fish out every year.
Probably. The last time me and Brett were in Melbourne, I think it was the night we saw you, Sauce.
Yeah.
Me and Brett left the casino at like 3:30 and rode the scooters from the casino to our hotel, which was opposite the venue.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah, but we were driving like the middle of the road. We just because I was on my phone and we didn't know where we were going. And Brett was like, "Nah, turn this way," and that way would have taken us to Port Melbourne. And I'm like, "Nah, it's definitely not that way." And so we were in the back streets for a while, and then we just come out like I think it was St Kilda Road or something, and it was just like we should not be doing this.
It was fun. It was fun.
That was good night.
There we go.
It was a good night.
So you worked in betting agencies over in Europe. So obviously, I want to ask you what that's like before we compare it over to.
It's so different.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I knew nothing. I knew a little bit about betting and knew like a lot about sport, but I sort of cut my teeth on pricing up lower level soccer. The biggest sports in Europe at the time were soccer, handball, volleyball, really. And there was a program or an algorithm that you could just enter. We call it the 1x2, which is the win, draw, win. The total or the in-fours, which is the amount of goals expected. So expected total, which was the generic one was 2.5. So you'd enter that. Yeah, the over-under, the 1x2 and the goal, no goal. So both teams to score, yes, no. And then that would spit out, 100 other prices like first half totals and all this other stuff. And then a lot of it was manual work. So it was good. It was really good to sort of get experience that way. And then, so once you set the prices, obviously, depending on what league it is and how long till the game plays, it depends on how often that the odds change. So, for example, if it's 10 days away, it's less likely that the odds are going to change. But if the game's in 4 hours, and it means there's more likely to be odds change. So then you'd be changing prices a lot, and you sort of understand how it works. For example, 10 days before a match starts, the match might have lower limits. So lower limits means that a normal person can get a bet on, like, say, 10 days out, it might be $1,000 before it hits a human. So, like, in the back end system, they allow everyone to get on for a certain amount, and then that amount grows as the match gets closer. So it's good.
Most
so
of the money comes in like very close to the game, like within the last hour or whatever.
Yeah, it depends on what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of it's the last up to the last 30 seconds. Not even the last second, because a lot of people just want to bet like almost like FOMO.
Yeah, it's an impulse.
State of Origin's
bet.
on tonight. Let me get a bet on.
It's an impulse a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously the sports are completely different. So for the company I worked for, I'd say 80% of the turnover was on football, and then other bits and pieces. Whereas here it's the opposite. Like I think racing takes up like 70 to 80% of turnover, and then the other sports fight for the rest. But yeah, racing's huge, and then your AFL and rugby league, and then your US sports. But it is completely different. Like when I first started at this company, they did nothing in terms of rugby league, AFL, rugby union.
Yeah,
they were just their main. Like football was that was it, and we're talking like every level, like down to fourth division Swedish women's soccer. Like there was just everything.
Yep. No, I've bet on Chinese second division women's.
Badminton, yeah. But when I first started, it was I think 2010. So I was sort of tasked with obviously the soccer and the lower level soccer and European handball and stuff like that. But then my boss sort of asked me to pick up like the Aussie stuff. So I did AFL, rugby league, and then I did the worldwide stuff. So the Olympics were coming up, so I got heavily involved in that. And I love watching sport. So when I'm watching sport away from work, it's like I'm doing not research, but I'm just like picking up little things and like there's trends. You can pick it up. It's pretty simple, like AFL, for example, they change a rule and then obviously it increases the likelihood there'll be more points scored and stuff like that. So you can pick that up relatively easy or quickly once things change. So like the scoring with rugby league, when they started doing the repeat sets, the scoring went up. So, 2 or 3 years ago, the totals were in for like 34 to 38, and now they're 38 to 42 and stuff. So it changes, and you just got to be. I call it a big game, and you just got to be as adaptable as possible to sort of move with the market.
And you said like obviously odds fluctuate and stuff, and how do you go about adjusting like in an algorithm on the price? For example, we'll use Sydney as an example. There's 4 late outs. Yep. Franklin's out, Parker's out, Mills is out, and Lloyd's out. So marquee guys.
That's hell on earth.
How do you go?
A trader. So the 3 best words. Like I lived with a couple of traders, so I haven't traded 10 years probably. But I used to live with a couple of traders like a few years ago when I was still living in Melbourne, and like you learn quickly that the 3 best words in the English language are no late changes, because it becomes an absolute scramble if there is changes to, like, if I'm trading an AFL game and like you said, those 4 late outs, the best thing to do would be to completely turn the game off. So turn it offline so people can't bet on it, because no one knows what they're doing at that stage. It's like how far is too far to move the line. Like if Sydney Swans were, 8-point favourites and they're playing Collingwood, those 4 outs, like how much is it worth? It's so hard to know. And then you don't want to be, you've got to be in the middle. You can't be too quick to react. And because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term middling, but if you're minus 8.5 and then obviously there's the 4 late outs, you don't want to go too far to be, okay, so the Swans will be now plus 8.5. And then there's some bookmakers will be slow to react. So a punter could still get Sydney minus 8.5. And then if you're too quick and go too far, they can get plus 8.5. So they can't lose, if you know what I mean. You can back Sydney with the 8.5 point start, or you can back them minus. So it's you can't be too quick. You've got to go like, it depends on what it is, but you don't want to go too far, because then you stick too far out. because there are a lot of professional gamblers, obviously. Like there's not just, your recreational punters. So it's a tough juggle. But yeah, that would be the worst case scenario. Those 4 players out because everything changes. Not just your line to line, your head to head, and your total, but okay, if Lance Franklin's out, who's kicking the goals? And then you might have someone that's a midfielder, like say, I don't know if you said Mills was out.
Yeah, Mills.
If Mills was out. Yeah, well, who's going forward? So who's kicking the goals? So Franklin takes up a lot of that book percentage because he's so short. So he might be $1.08 or whatever he is. But then, people would probably be able to bet on some bloke who would drift forward a couple times a game, but now he's the spearhead, and you get him in $5 to kick a goal. But that's but the thing is, you don't want to be offline. You can't be. So
I know.
Just that few minutes, and I do it myself when I'm having a bet. If there's laid outs, I'm jumping all over that. Because if you do find value, it's a funny one.
And the standards, obviously, in Europe when you were working there compared to when you came back here in Australia and you're working here in Australia, better standards here in terms of the way you're able to access content. I know I've had a chat to you before, but you just there's just sport on all the time and you're able to cover everything.
Yeah, so overseas it's hard to get domestic Australian stuff over there because of the time difference. So that's the only real issue. Here, if you're betting on Australian stuff, it's just such in a great time. For example, when teams drop and an hour out from kickoff, the final teams are announced. It's just the time difference is the hard thing. And obviously watching the game is tough because not everyone has access to Australian sport channels. I think at the time rugby league or AFL was on Eurosport, and they'd show 2 games a week, so that would make it tough. I remember, I think the rugby league grand final, because it was at night, I had to be at a pub at 5:30 a.m. to watch the game. So that's the tough thing. And then State of Origin, for example, would be on at midday. So it's just the time zones, and then obviously actually watching the game. But the way booksies, for example, Australian bookmakers would be smarter with Australian sports because of the money here. So you could find a bookmaker over in the UK that would be slow to react or the like, and then you could take advantage of that.
Obviously, some of the bigger, you've worked for pretty much all the big betting agencies here in Australia. Saucy, have you got any questions regarding the Australian betting?
Quick question for you boys: what do you guys bet?
Me personally, I have a motto: when I bet on something, it always loses, so I stopped. So Saucy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bet occasionally, but not too much.
Do you guys play fantasy and Supercoach and stuff?
Doma does. I don't anymore. No.
Yeah.
Well, you put I can't understand why a lot of people put so much time and effort into Supercoach and that, but don't bet, because most of the people that put the time into and know stuff, and because it all correlates. I think a lot of it does. Possessions and kicking goals and stuff. I don't play any or never have. So, but it correlates, and your player stuff. So I think there, and you can bet on. I don't know anymore, but you could bet on Supercoach.
You could, I think you probably still can in the exotics, most Supercoach points, and
yeah. So I don't know why, because that stuff's huge worldwide, not just in Australia. But it was a DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports, is big in the States. But and obviously. What do they call the fantasy comp? I think it's just fantasy, like NFL drafts and stuff.
You got DraftKings over there?
DraftKings. And Draft Stars was big here at one stage. I don't know what they're doing.
I'm not sure either.
The Americans take that stuff very seriously, and I've got a couple mates that are in all these drafts, and I'm like, "Well, do you bet on this stuff?" And they're like, "No, just do it for fun and pride." And I'm like, "You can probably make a lot of money doing it because you're honed in on player stuff, and that's what a lot of the prices and stuff are driven by players."
There you go. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Some of the stories that you've come across over your time in betting agencies, I'm sure there'll be some interesting ones.
One of the stories, my funniest stories, would be when I was living overseas and I was just getting a drink of water in the kitchen and this bloke walked in. He was in a velour tracksuit, had 2 Rolexes, one on each hand, and there was 2 look like security guards behind him, both carrying big duffel bags. So they've turned up to work or the office, went straight into the CEO's office, and I just laughed and that looked a bit weird. And then we got an email a couple of minutes later to say that for the next few months, half of our salary would be paid in cash. I mean, I was young at the time. I was just like, well, that's dodgy. But yeah, what do you say to that? You
take the cash.
Just take the cash and turn your blind. I don't know. But I've seen enough movies to know that something went on. I don't know what, but
don't know what, mate. Yeah, just better that way. You still got
100%. Yeah, it's a way above my pay grade. But yeah.
I'm just there to make the odds, mate. And
I'm just here. I'm just here to change prices in 3rd division soccer. I don't know what's going on. Safe to say the company is not around anymore.
It doesn't surprise me.
That's all right. They had a good run. And I mean, they're based out of Malta, so they wouldn't be the first to come and go out of Malta. They're just about on the Caracau level of.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah. So it's a tax haven. What is it? I think they. Last time this is going back a long time, but they'd pay 7% tax on profits. Whereas I think this is ages ago, and this is just a guess. But some of the big companies are from all over, like Nordic countries, Spain, everywhere, because their home countries would charge them 15% tax on turnover, for example.
Yeah.
Australia's a weird place. We're the only place in the world that you have to call up to place a live bet. Somehow we think that stops match fixing. I don't know. But we're taxed at every level, point of consumption taxes, 15% in some states. Queensland has the highest tax from the racing governing body in Australia. There's just the gambling side of it is it's a tough one because I know it's caused a lot of issues. But blow up pokies before you pokies are the devil, but I love playing them. So. But betting,
he loves getting the feature spins, mate.
That's mate, love it. And I'm going to Vegas, so I'm worried. But
mate, they got all sorts of stuff over there at Vegas.
DJ reckons I won't leave the airport.
He'll be stuck there for 8 days.
I think I've got $100 bet on that. I won't.
The moment it's just funny because the moment you walk out of the gate, there is just poker machines in the middle of the all the gates. It's just right there. There's it's just freaking insane, man. And then you leave the airport in baggage claim and stuff. You're literally walking towards the front door to walk out the airport, and there's more. They're just there.
I better bloody hope my bags get there because if not, I reckon I'll be losing this bet.
It's insane. You'll love it, mate. I don't know what your favorite movie or TV show is, mate, but I can tell you there'd probably be a machine for it in Vegas because I've seen all types of machines, poker machines.
They suck you in. They'll suck you in.
Oh, I'll be the biggest victim of it. So I get there 2 days before BJ. So the thought is that I'll be either married, broke, lost all my money, or I'll be living under. Because there's people that live in the tunnels down in Vegas.
Yeah,
underground there. They reckon I'll be there. Yeah,
mate, you might be working for Thunder Down Under, mate. Walking around.
Wouldn't have thought.
You'd be walking around in a bloody thong, and getting all the photos with the women.
What's that guy in New York? The cowboy.
Oh yeah, the cowboy, the naked
Aussie
cowboy
in Vegas.
Hey, there's heaps of ways to make money in Vegas. I can tell you that much.
I'm just there to watch basketball. I don't know what you guys would be doing there, but I'm there for work.
Summer league's on. You're going to go?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we're there.
Okay.
Going to summer league.
Nice.
So that should be really good. I
Any?
don't know if you boys saw Chet Holmgren today, but my feeds have gone berserk with the highlights of him.
Man, he's good.
Yeah, he looks
He's
good.
good.
He looks good.
Saucy was telling me a few things about him today. He's like, this kid's been a prospect since he was 13. He was always going to be good. So I think he tanked his workout deliberately. He didn't want to go to Orlando. He's got a much more stable, I don't know, core group of basketball players around him in Oklahoma with Giddy and HGA. Yeah, 100%. Any games lined up for the summer league? Have you got tickets already to a few?
Oh yeah, we'll be going every day, I reckon.
Oh, okay, nice.
Nice. I'm part of a tour group that we'll be at most games, I reckon.
That's sick. I like it.
Definitely be at the final on the 17th. But yeah, there's apparently the access to players and ex-players during this week in Vegas is off the chain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just in general.
You're going to catch up with Josh? We're over there.
Yeah. Hopefully catch up with him a couple of times. And Dyson.
Dyson Daniels. Yeah.
Be keen to meet him. Obviously, I want to see Jello Ball play. I might be the only one in the world, but he's the one I want to see the most.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want to see Chet play, obviously. Keen to see if Kuminga plays. Wiseman, obviously.
I reckon Kuminga will play. Wiseman will too. They've got to get him some reps.
100%. It should be a fun time.
That'd be awesome. Nice, I think Ben Chero would be a nice one to watch as well for Orlando, just to see what the number one pick's all about. So, yeah, awesome. That's a good start to that trip. We'll get into a bit of what's happening later on in that trip.
Yep. Sweet.
Very soon. But Saucy, before we finish up on the gambling, do you have any questions for Chris? Pet peeves?
No, well, mate, I'll tell you what. You don't have to get me started on the pet peeves about the ringing up to have a gamble, because I had a system a while back with soccer, and it was all done based off statistics.
This is before the click to call.
This is when you could just click. This is when you could just click and you place your bet. You'd be on within 5 seconds. It was good. It was good. Soccer and football, well game. And I used to have a system, and it was, based off first half goals percentages and just, looking at lines of teams and just using, you got in those lower league games, it was like having your local team at the top of the ladder that's got all this money behind them in the local leagues against some, team that's really just they don't have much funding, and you see score lines like 10-0 and 7-0, and you get late goals in the first half or late in the second half, and you could get those over goal lines, maybe $1.70, $1.80, $1.90 sometimes. And if you really took them late, sometimes it was lucky, $3, $4, $5 at times. So, and I used to just do that and be confident in my there was a high percentage that there was going to be a late goal second half, like 93%. And it was still, I took it at 75th minute. Then I backed a bit more, maybe at the 85th minute. Then it got closer to the 90th minute. And there's, I see there's 5 minutes added on. The market's still open. It's at, silly odds, $4, $5, $6. I'll chuck another $10 on it, $20. And, that's how I used to play it. And you can't do that if you have to call up and place it multiple times. So
I did something exactly the same. It was if it had a heavy favorite, usually home team, and the score was 0-0 after 30 minutes, I would back over 0.5 first half.
Either that or the -1 Asian handicap. I've done that before.
I just hate Asian handicaps. I hate it.
But sometimes
what's the Asian handicap?
Explain it.
It's so hard to explain, especially if I haven't even thought about gambling for a long, long time. But it is basically whatever the score is, there's a handicap based on that. So if I'm favored against you, I'd be the minus and you'd be the plus.
Okay.
But it divides the bet up. So a portion of the bet goes on the minus part, and then because there's a 3-way, it's usually win, draw, win. So it'd be minus, draw, plus. And then it divides up the odds, and so like if you win 1-0 and you back minus 1, you only get a little bit of the portion on the win, a little bit on the draw. It's not, no one knows, basically, is my motto, because no one reads terms and conditions. Obviously, if someone backs a -1 and the team wins 1-0, they want to get paid. So
it's just a push.
I would never work for customer service for a betting company, because the amount of abuse that they would cop from people never not understanding what they bet on, because obviously they make the terms and conditions as convoluted as possible.
Yeah,
a lot of fine print.
A lot of fine print. But it's just impossible. Like they're fighting.
But little tip, if you can actually work that out, what's the difference between Asian handicap and normal markets?
Yep.
A lot of the times the Asian handicap will actually pay a few cents more than the normal market. So if it's just a straight win market, you could take the Asian handicap in that section and you'll probably get 3 cents more. Yep. So, people who do want to go and understand it and how it all works, like you can
every cent counts, mate.
Find a little bit better odds.
Yeah, I used to love similar what you're talking about with the football. I used to do the same thing with rugby and American football, especially college football, like the quarter stuff, and just back stuff late in quarters, so you would only need one scoring play to win the bet. But Bet365 was the best for that.
That's.
But they were obviously really, really quick to close your accounts, because for them, that's not a profitable way of gambling. Like that's not recreational to them. So they would deem you, in it for money, which that's what everyone should be in it for, really.
Yeah. Have you got anything else, Source? Because I got a couple that I just want to.
One I was going to say, there's obviously there is. Look, first of all, gamble responsibly.
100%. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Means don't fucking mortgage your house and lose everything to put on the punt, because then you're a fool. There are some success stories and stuff. Probably some crazy ass shit that you've seen, and stupid figures of people maybe even turning, starting with a lousy $300,000-$500,000 bet, and that ending up in something just ginormous.
Yeah, so my favorite ones were people that turned free bets into 50,000, 100,000, or whatever. And a couple of years ago they changed the law, so they used to try and enforce you to turn over your bonus bet and winnings at least once. So if you turn $10 into 200, you had to bet through 200. Like churn it over, bet $200 worth of stakes before you could withdraw any of the winnings, because they didn't want it. So just to encourage you to continue to bet, really. They changed that rule, but before they changed it, I think he was like 18. He might have deposited $50 for his birthday and got a $20 bonus bet, and he turned it into like something ridiculous. Like I don't remember the exact number, but like 260,000, like some 14-leg correct score multi or something, just something ridiculous. And initially he's called up customer service to try and withdraw it, and in the system it's obviously like 280,000 total, but your total withdrawable balance was like $50 or $40, and they poor them, like they don't really have the authority to go outside the rules, and they're like, nah, well, you've got to turn it over. And it's like, fuck, like this kid's just won 280,000, turned $20, like just like, so you have to go through levels before you can just like give him the money. But we ended up giving it to him because like obviously you don't want to encourage, you can't like vomit or regurgitate, responsible gambling if you're making this 18-year-old kid turn over 280,000 before he can withdraw. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You've got to be able to like, like that's, you've got to.
Enough.
100%. He's won a 14-leg bloody multi.
I don't know what it is, but it was something ridiculous. Like he's like, how did that happen? Like, but yeah, he got his money. I've seen someone turn, close to $1 million. They won close to $1 million on a 20-leg UFC multi, off like a $200 bonus bet or something.
That could have been you, Source.
UFC is a tough thing to win on. Multis, it's just
the way Saucy's been picking them lately,
Really?
Bets. Oh man, he called the latest card. He called the main event, the co-main event, both decision splits to Adesanya and Volk. He was just all over. He said, "Yeah, this will happen. That'll happen." He's just been calling them lately like crazy. He watches a lot of it. When you watch, it's the same
watch
thing.
a lot of it, but
I don't. Sport. When you watch a lot of sport and you know matchups and who's fought who before, and this guy fought that guy or this girl fought that girl, you can kind of pick them unless you get the odd one, especially like Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. That's just an outlier. She comes out and she just beats down the double champ and just destroys her. Like that, you don't expect that to happen. But when you watch sport, it's with any sport. Like you get upsets, but more often than not, the favorite, if you know the history of the fighters or the soccer team or the footy team or the league team, you pretty much can pick it from a mile away, to be honest. So it's just all about knowledge. I got one just regarding like winnings, like massive winnings, but like shutting down accounts. What's the process there? Are you like, is there like some watchdog that sits up there and he's just watching numbers tick over? And
it's a tough one. And different companies do it different ways. Because, like I said before, it's just a big game. So there'll be people that are just there to abuse promos. They don't really have any legitimate bets. Every bet will be into either a run second or third money back or a double your I forget what the footy ones were, but lead it, up by 6, early payout, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty easy to identify those guys that just don't have any legit like recreational bets. It's all about like promos. So they usually, they get a chance. I don't know exactly, but they'll be a couple of weeks to a month. Like if you're not seeing any real legitimate business, they probably get in from promos pretty early. There's a lot of tech stuff, you can IP, and there's so many different ways that they can track, like using the same device as someone that's already banned. That's an easy way to get stung. But it's more so how you win. Like it's not if you win, like because obviously betting companies, they need people to win. It's not winning, it's how you win. Like if you're continuously picking off stale prices, or a lot of the prices are inputted by humans, so there'll be an error. Like someone will fat finger, instead of putting $1.90, they'll miss the decimal and it'll be $19. Like if you're continually picking up errors like that, like you're probably not going to last long. And they'll just deem that as a commercial decision. You're not having a bet for recreational purposes. And like stuff like if you're backing team news, like that example you gave before, if you're backing against the Sydney Swans when there's 4 players out and you've had the bet at, the team list drops at 7 o'clock and you're having a bet at 7 and 10 seconds because there's 4 Swans players out, like you'll get given a couple of chances, but if it's just that's your continuous MO, like you're going to get beaten pretty quickly. But yeah, everyone shuts like pretty. Like I've had accounts shut before I've had a bet. I've signed up, I've added my credit card, I've verified, and then just get an email to say nah, we've made the commercial decision. You're not to have an account with us.
Bloody hell!
Yeah,
because you're too good. That's what I.
No, I didn't even have a chance to be any good. And like I'm not a good punter.
They've got you on the FBI most wanted.
Oh yeah, no,
gambling.
my name
it's
would
just
be
your
mud.
mug. It's just
my name would be mud in the industry. I've taken advantage of a couple, like the things I'm talking about that get red flags. I've taken advantage of a couple, and I'd be looked at no good.
I love it. This will be the last one, and it's probably one that isn't spoken about enough. And it's quite, I think it's controversial, and I think it could be coming to a head in maybe the next few years. But your thoughts on gambling agencies sponsoring sports, like professional sporting leagues and clubs? Just your thoughts behind that. Obviously, we've seen in the early days, we've seen that in motorsport, there was a lot of cigarette companies and stuff.
Yeah, like the rugby league as well. They had the Winfield Cup.
Yeah. And they were just like, obviously, there was a stand in society of it's promoting something that's not healthy. Yep. You can pretty much say that it's the exact same thing when it comes to gambling, because it can get to a point where it's extremely unhealthy for people. But
like,
yeah,
at the same time, like so they throw a lot of money. It's not just all negative. Like they throw a lot of money.
100%.
I don't know what the deals are worth to the governing bodies. For example, AFL and rugby league, but they would be in the tens of millions a year.
Yeah.
So the codes need it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't. So I'd be okay with sponsoring the leagues like the NRL, the AFL, or whatever, because I'd say there's an agreement between the two where they share information. So you probably need that, and the team sponsoring and the jersey sponsoring, like I hate personally, but that's just me. I hate even when you're at the game and the way the stadiums are, that all the LED and you can see for 3 levels, it's all the same betting company. Like that's crap.
They got quarter time, half time on the big screen as well.
Yeah, like when I first moved back from overseas, I think there was that whole Tom Waterhouse debacle where he was obviously everywhere with his betting company, and then he was on the panel, I think, for the rugby league. I'd missed it, so I just came back and this was just ending sort of thing. So he was like on the panel at halftime as well as on every single ad and everywhere. And I think the community was like, no, you can't be doing that. So he sort of got off that. But yeah, I think it will. I think you're right. The team stuff I don't like on the back of jerseys and shorts and stuff like that's not right. I don't think they should be encouraging it for the kids as well. The last thing, I don't know what the program is they do with the AFL, but it's called, I don't know what it's called, but it's like you don't want to be encouraging these kids to, or even thinking about betting in relation to the sport.
It does have a flow-on effect. I know it's full on. We don't need to get into it like today, or ever if we don't have to. But like working in education, it is huge. It is actually huge. Like kids that are under 18, like that's what they do. That is their recreation. They with their mates, they'll put on multis over the weekend, and it's insane, man.
They find ways to do it, even though here the companies here you have to. I mean, it's pretty easy. There's they can bet in crypto. They can just find other dodgy Russian companies. I mean, that couldn't give a fuck, and they'll just take whatever money from anywhere, and they can go get a prepaid card and use a prepaid card from freaking Coles. That's a MasterCard, and put the money in that way. Like it's just like, as much as you want to prevent it, like there's ways that they'll find.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong. I don't want it to sound like we're just shitting all over betting companies, but these are a lot of things that don't get asked sometimes.
Like, 100%. And the thing is, it has to change with society. Like it can't just remain static, and then society, changes and the betting stays the same. Like it has to adapt.
Exactly. All right, moving on. You've had a few interesting hobbies over your time.
Yep.
There was one that you mentioned to us when you were down here in Melbourne. And you sat down with both of us, and I was very intrigued when you mentioned this, because obviously there's sneakerheads and people flip sneakers and people flip cards, people even flip houses. But you said that once upon a time you flipped Lego sets.
I still do.
Yeah, well, there you go. You still do. Just keen to understand it, because I'll be honest, we've all bought Lego in here, I'm assuming, the three of us, and a lot of people that listen to this show and watch this show have bought Lego over time. I'm not going to say that I still don't buy it. I usually look at the ones that are 16 plus, those really nice ones, and you can put them on the display. I've got a TIE Fighter behind me still in the box.
Oh, nice.
Behind me. But the funny thing with the TIE Fighter is it's completely sealed. I haven't opened anything. And I looked that up recently. I don't plan on selling it, but I was just like, holy shit, the price of this thing's gone up $150.
Yeah.
So can you just explain this whole world?
No, I can't really.
I
started into it by mistake. So I basically needed a hobby. And I liked Lego as a kid. I'd gotten sick, so I had some time off, I think uni at the time or school, and wanted to build something. Found a Lego Ferrari, like a Technic set. think at the time it was like $150. And so bought one, built it, loved it. A couple months later, another one came out, bought that. Same thing, $150, built it, loved it. And another one came out. I think it was this. The third one, I think, was, I don't know in what order it went, but it was like Enzo, Formula One, and then the 599 GTB or Foriana GTB, whatever. So I had 3 of these things, built them, and then moved overseas and didn't really think about them again. And then came back, a couple of years later, and I think my parents were like, "Get rid of these things; they're taking up space or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." Looked at them and I'm like, "Oh, hang on a sec! Like these things are now like $600. I'm not getting rid of them." So I paid $150. And then so we put them in, stored them somewhere, and then a couple of years later, again I looked again, and they were like $1,200-$1,500. I was like, "What the fuck? What's going on here?" And then did a bit of research, and they have lifespans. So a lot of the good sets, they're only out for 2 years, and then they retire them. And obviously, there's people that collect sealed stuff, and then there's people that collect parts and whatever. So then, if there's this whole community, like an eBay for Lego called Bricklink, and then I looked into that, and it's just a massive, massive community of Lego enthusiasts. So then I looked at other stuff because Lego has these deals with, Star Wars, all these other huge brands anyway. So obviously I looked at like, oh, well, what other sets are popular besides these? So I buy, the main ones I usually buy are the supercars. So there's a Lamborghini, there's a Porsche, there's a couple of Ferraris, the bigger ones, that are.
Did you get a McLaren that recently came out?
The orange one, the Formula One?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Nice. Because they went like hotcakes.
So I usually buy 2 of everything. We'll build and then keep one on ice just in case I want to sell it. But then there was other stuff like what's it called? Steamboat Willie.
Yeah,
which is the Mickey Mouse first Mickey Mouse cartoon. All the bricks are in black and white, and it's a little boat with Mickey and Minnie Mouse. So they retired that, and a lot of people were picking them up on sale, like Big Dub and Target and stuff, for like $50-$60. Now you're seeing them on eBay for like $200. So whatever you see with cards, and it's just the same principle, I guess. Finding that stuff that's really popular with multiple like generations, like Jordan 1s are popular with old sneakerheads and new ones. So you got to find that multi-generational thing. And then stuff that's hard to find. So, and it's easy. It's so easy. You can go on Lego and it's like there's a category called retiring soon. So you know what's going to happen. Like the Technic supercars, they're usually around for like 2 years and then they retire. So there's the Bugatti, and all these things are pretty expensive anyway. But you can pick them up. Like say they release and they're $600. You'll be able to find them within 6 to 12 months somewhere on sale, like 25% off or whatever, and you pick it up for $450. By the time it retires, in a year's time or whatever, you could probably double your money. It's
you know what,
mate. I've got a spare room at home, and it's just full of Lego. What have I got at home? Like heaps of Ecto ones, which are
pretty crazy. It's
the big crazy. Ghostbusters cars.
Yeah.
That's just because I like Ghostbusters as a kid. I went to Malaysia. They've got a Legoland there. The hotel looks like it's made out of Lego. I didn't stay there, but I went there for a day. And like there's rides, like roller coasters and stuff. And they've got they've built the world, like cities of the world, which are all like pretty huge. And obviously that Lego Masters show has increased the popularity in Australia.
100%.
But I don't have that creative bone in my body. So when I'm building a Lego, it's by the book every single step. So it's a bit different to Lego Masters. I could never go on that show ever.
I think I'm the same as you with all the stuff I've built. I've done I did the Batman tumbler from
that's
the
sick.
Dark
I love
Knight.
that.
Yeah, that's huge. That thing's freaking massive. I used to sit in at my parents' house on the coffee table in like the movie room. It was just this big thing, and then got a Millennium Falcon when episode 7 came out. Not the not the one that came out 2 years after, which was the re-release of the original, which was the one that was like massive, absolutely ginormous. But some of the best sets that you've ever done, have you done any like full scale type, I don't know, building type ones?
No, only like, really the cars are the only ones
cars.
I really beat. So I bought a stack of they're like the Star Wars heads, like the helmets.
Yeah.
So initially it was like Boba Fett, a Stormtrooper, and one other.
Darth Vader. Was it Darth Vader?
Well, yeah, I think maybe, or like a Sith or something. And anyway, I bought the 3 as a set, and they were like $89 when they first came out. Found them on Amazon for like $70 each. And then what happened? So this is when COVID first hit. So Lego sold out, and then said, "Oh, your back order, 2 weeks minimum," or whatever it was. So it's exactly like cards. You know when like hoops first come out, right? For example, and you can, a blast is $80, for example, whatever. The singles prices of those cards for that 2-week period before everyone gets the StockX from the States or whatever it is. So that 2-week window is, people, flippers can just charge whatever they want. So the same thing happened with Lego, whereas Star Wars helmet types being up for $70. I think I was selling I sell the set for like $400 for 3.
Good return.
And I didn't even want to sell them, but it was just like, well, fuck, how can you not? Like it's
the thing that probably needs to change is the advertising here in Australia when they put on like the Lego exhibition.
Yeah.
It's as big as like a Comic-Con, but the advertising's so discreetly done. It's like if you're in the know and you're in that community, you're all over it.
That's the thing as well. Like there's so many different hobbies, and if you're not in the know, you're not. Like there's just no.
Yeah.
That's a real barrier to entry, I think, is that if you're not in there, like how do you find out? Like if you're just coming into, for example, shoes, like you're just becoming a sneakerhead, how do you find out that there's anything like Facebook groups or whatever? Like it's a bit of a weird one. I don't really understand why Facebook is the place.
It's true.
Like if you're coming, you're a new kid in Melbourne just picking up cards for the first time, there's a chance you could miss, the hobby hangout or any card show because the only place is really on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is.
It's true. That's a fair point. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I occasionally have a good point.
Yeah, exactly for once.
Yeah.
Anything on that source? The flip game for Lego?
No, look, I knew about it. My brother collects a few Legos and he just buys them and he builds like some of them. Some he doesn't build. He just stashes them away. But yeah, I've known about it for a little while.
There's flippers in everything.
Yeah, and I think it's just like it's not. Yeah, that's right. It's not even just these few things. I think it goes for everything. I mean, there's people that flip coins and
coin noodling is huge at the moment. That bloke that was in the news stories, he's a mate of mine. I met him randomly at the
Gold Coast Picker.
Yeah, Gold Coast Picker. He's huge on socials. He did a video.
Some people not a fan of him, not a fan of his coin tactic.
The banks are furious apparently. Like fuck those blokes. They've been pillaging.
Come on, man,
mate. That was the story. The story I read was from the Daily Mail, so it's not like
fuck. If the banks are getting upset, you're doing your job.
One of those, one of the things like the banks are furious. Well, stop ripping people off.
Well, they're gonna fucking deny him a loan because they're he's stealing
but apparently,
money from a bank.
I reckon he would have started a bit of a craze because it was on TikTok. It was on all these really popular things, and it was like take $1,000 into an ATM, get $1,000 worth of coins. The worst thing you can do is break even.
Yeah, it's I like it, and then go back, cash them back in.
Yeah,
like I'm ones, that aren't rare, and then the rest of them sell.
And it's all about if you've got the get up and go to do it. Like a lot of people just too lazy or couldn't be fucked or whatever. I think it's great. More power to it.
Yeah, now it's going to be no more coins.
Well, I don't know if
we draw fucking cash.
Yeah. Remember, like when that thrift shops song came up, ages ago, like sales at thrift shops would have gone up like 100% for sure. The same thing, like when they released the video and it's on the news about this bloke coin noodling, people would have been going, "What's coin noodling? Oh, let's try that." Like it's risk-free money.
Yeah, it's just like when Gary Vee was picking up mugs at garage sales. Let's go buy mugs and flip mugs. It's true. People just want to catch on to it because they're like, oh, maybe I've got this here. And the first thing they do is go to like their wallet or something or to a money box and open it and be like, oh, shit, I've got that coin.
How popular do you think garage sales were in America, like after Gary Vee just spruiked garage sales?
Man, going and buying tubs of Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah. And it's a lot of time and effort to do, but the money's there.
100%. That's exactly right. There's money to be made everywhere, which is crazy. You just got to follow the trends, and you'll be all right. You'll be switched on. You got some massive things coming up, but there has been one big thing that you had recently. So with Platinum Standard Grading, let's jump into some PS grading, some hobby talk. You were recently at the Hobby Hangout, which
so we're there on the weekend
last week. Yep.
Just Major sponsored the event.
Yep.
We're going to be doing the same thing in Melbourne, and I assume we'll be doing the same thing in Brisbane. Just wanted to get our name out there more. So yeah, it was big. The weather was shit again. So the last 2 hobby hangouts have been like really
floods.
Affected by rain.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. It was crazy. It didn't stop raining on the Saturday. I don't think it really I don't know. It was pretty packed anyway. It was on 3 levels, so it's tough to really get a gauge on the numbers. But it seemed like it was busy everywhere, which was really good. A lot of people had. So I think they did things a bit differently. They did some collectors tables. So there were people there just showcasing collections more so than selling. So I saw some sweet. I didn't find my Alan Shearer auto. I'm still on the lookout, boys. So if you know of anyone on card only, I saw some sweet collections. There was a group of guys there called Oz Soccer Breaks. They had some sick gold prisms for the Aussies from I think 2014 maybe. BJ picked up a Lucas Neal graded card. Saw some nice David Beckham stuff, some low numbered Pele. Nice. There was some real cool stuff there. I picked up my biggest card ever, my biggest purchase of a card. I bought it about 6 weeks ago, probably on a guy off Facebook, and then met him in Sydney and picked it up.
Oh, nice!
So that was cool.
Can you reveal what it was?
Yeah, it was a Shaq TakeIt2.net, I think they're called. BGS 9.5, Pop 20. One of the first numbered inserts that I think. I've been on the lookout for a card similar for a while. Yeah, it was nice. It's real nice. It looks like he's got like computer chips in the Matrix or computer chips is in the background. So there's like a lot of chrome and like shimmer and then he's in the Lakers jersey. And I think Shaq's massively underrated in the hobby. I think a lot of people don't like him on TV, and that affects his prices. And I've just got it in my head that I'm meeting him in Vegas as well. His son's playing in the league in the comp.
You're gonna meet him.
Summer League.
You'll meet him.
Yeah, Summer League. Yeah, so him and Scottie Pippen are playing. They're both playing for the Lakers, so that'll be cool. It was a good day. Busy. Really busy.
People subbing with PSG.
Yep. Yeah. We took a lot of submissions. So we really encourage people to pre-submit so to avoid time, because obviously last thing you want to do at the show is line up to submit your cards, So we sort of did it sort of like a bag drop at the airport sort of thing. Just pre-submit your cards, do all that stuff, and then just come in, give us the order number or whatever, and just drop your cards off and keep rolling. It was good. It was real good.
They get you up on stage, or was that for
no?
BJ?
That's not me. Like BJ's the hair, the face, I guess. I'm just happy to. I was filming.
In all honesty, he's not here. I'll probably tell it straight to his face when I see him at the Melbourne Hobby Hangout. But it must be hard getting around places with him. He must know every single person going around. He knows everyone.
Yeah,
it must be hard. You must be just like trying to have a nice lunch and someone will tap him on the shoulder. And
it's funny, like the people, like even like Stash and Pugs, the Mojo Chasers, they're really well known in a number of spaces, like obviously the collecting space. But we one of the companies we work with, they sponsor the Gold Coast Rollers basketball. And I walked in with BJ and these two blokes, and it took us 40 minutes to get to our seats because every person that BJ knows, he speaks to, and obviously these guys are the same. And between both of them, they knew the whole stadium. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't know anyone here. These are the only guys that I know. So it took us forever to get to our seats. But that's just he loves it. I think he thrives in that environment of being on stage in front of people. Whereas me, I'd like start sweating and turn to water and just start looking for the exit.
But it's good for you too. Like your network grows, and then obviously BJ is a great face for the company as well. So you know he's a great guy. So it's good for all of you, really.
Yeah.
It gets you out there, and it probably produces opportunities for you going forward. You know, if you ever wanted to move on, you know, and you wanted to get into a certain industry, that's like they say out there, it's not what you know. Sometimes it is who you know. And
I think the good thing about BJ is he's not really afraid to ask the question. Of can we do this, or why aren't we doing this? Like the whole us being involved or organising the Gold Coast leg of the Giddy event was us having lunch with one of his mates and then asking the question, like, you know, how does Gold Coast get involved?
You got to sometimes, you got to take it's risks sometimes, but but the other thing too is you should never be afraid to ask a question.
I walked out of the lunch where we had the initial discussion, and I said to him, I go, "Is it that easy?" Like, and he goes, "Yeah, you've just got to ask." And now
people are
and now a lot of the stuff is like snowballing, and we're just getting more and more opportunities and stuff. And it's like it really is this easy. It's just no one's asking those questions.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really, really good to see. And the submissions were
good. So they were better than Melbourne.
That's good.
Better
than
Melbourne. Better than Brisbane. Brisbane was a bit down because of the floods and no one could get in. So we sort of don't take that into account. But I think subs wise, it was about 28% more than Melbourne. So that's good. It
really
shows
good.
And especially it was our first time in Sydney. Like I kind of expect us to do big numbers the next time we're in Melbourne because we were there last time. It felt good. So I expect to do big numbers there. The golden ticket giveaway or the platinum ticket giveaway, someone won grading for life, and it was like an 11-year-old kid.
I did see that. That's awesome.
So that was that. I love that stuff. Like obviously, he was just there with his uncle. His uncle was there for basketball cards. This kid collects Pokemon, and you know how many competitions you enter, and you're just like, I'm not going to win this or whatever. And he's just won, a prize worth like 24 grand. There was a bloke there. So we gave away 4 luxury hotel vouchers. 3 of the people weren't there for the spinny wheel, and the guy that was there. So there was 3 domestic cities, and then 1 was to Bali. So I think the cities were Melbourne, Gold Coast, and Adelaide. You have 3 nights accommodation. The one in Bali was a week's accommodation, and the guy that was there won Bali, so that was really good. He was cheering. Like, when you go to a card show, you don't really expect to win a voucher for a 7-day holiday in Bali, which is pretty cool.
That's so good, man.
And then obviously 10 cards graded express, so that's good. Like the prizes are going to like kids, like, or people that you want to, but Gold Coast is it feels like it's crying out for a big event like Hobby Hangout. Like there are other cities, like obviously, they do Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. I was sort of like, there's that big show in Adelaide that happened a couple months back. Every person I've spoken to said that was massive. And they did it a bit differently, but like it was like $2 entry or a gold coin donation to get in. But they had heaps of people through the door. Like that's happening again this year. Perth's probably dying out, like crying out for a show. Or whether or not Hobby Hangout goes, Australia wide, but you could probably get one in Tassie. Like these places that don't have these, like, Melbourne's had one, Sydney's had two in the last 2 years. You could probably go Australia wide with these big card shows, because there's huge collecting communities in both Western Australia and Adelaide.
Definitely, and we know there's.
I'd love to have one on the Gold Coast.
There's heaps of breakers and stuff that sometimes they travel to these where they're from a state that doesn't even have a show. So, it's awesome. And then
I saw more breakers at Sydney than I had at Melbourne or Brisbane, having actual stalls, which was good. They did a live break. I didn't catch that because we were doing our prize at the same time. But the live break, I don't understand why that's not a big thing.
It should be massive like at Dallas and at the National. There's live breaks all the time. They've actually got a dedicated stage.
It's called case break something.
Yeah, it's massive over there. It's on steroids.
Like I see like big breaks happening, in nightclubs where instead of the DJ, that's where they're doing the breaks, and everyone's sitting at the table, and you buy spots at your table and have a couple of drinks and have food and stuff. Like I see it as a massive entertainment aspect of it.
Oh, 100%. It can be so like such a G up, really. It can be.
Yeah.
If you hit something big, fuck. You just
if you do it as a group as well, like if your table buys a spot, and you're all cheering on, you're all cheering.
Gamble responsibly. Even when it comes to breaking.
Break responsibly. Yeah.
Yeah, break responsibly.
It's a real, like, an event, not just, someone sitting in their room or in a shop or whatever, like a real atmosphere about it.
Yeah, it's an entertainment factor that can be really brought
100%.
And if you could do a deal with the place that, everyone that comes gets, a pint and a schnitty or whatever. Like, there's so many different ways you could do it.
100%. The world can be our oyster when it comes to this hobby. It really can be. It's just like,
and we need
more people like yourself and others that are trying to think outside the box. That is not to say we should get rid of some of the traditions that are in the hobby, which some of them are still really good, like those smaller shows and stuff like that. But it's crying out for more of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's not just have a couple big shows like the Hobby Hangout, and then it's just like, oh yeah, we'll have a couple small shows, and then that's it. Let's wrap it up, call it a year, and we'll do it all again in 12 months' time.
Yeah, that's why, like, one of the things I want to take from the National is, like, how do we just continue this but make it bigger and better every single time? What's next? Like, I imagine, I don't know this, but I imagine that America is just like 2 or 3 years ahead of us in terms of everything.
There's a lot of guys that do some crazy stuff over there and do some really, really good stuff. And we've had open communication with a fair few of them. We're happy to obviously just let you know who they are, and we can even bail them up and say we've got friends coming over and they want to ask some questions on some of the more interesting things that you do when it comes to breaks. And it could even be that you start doing PS grading packs where there's 50 packs with 50 high-end cards in 50 PSG slabs, and they buy a spot like it's in a break, and you rip them, like, or you do the break live. They pay for a spot, they pick their number. There's only 50 spots, and you have them all laid out, and you say, oh, I want 23 because that's Jordan. Whether you put a Jordan in there or not,
I wouldn't on purpose.
Exactly right. But you know what I mean? Like, they'll open it and
put it in the 45 to trick everyone.
Good ones. Good ones. Honestly, they do it really, really well. Is on Instagram is Prestige Pools. He does prestige packs. He's really, really good at doing those. And then Pool Wax over in the States with their pool packs. They do it really, really, really well. So
like, I'd be disappointed if I didn't come back with, like 50 ideas or just stuff that I see, like, oh, we should be doing that, or let's do that.
But those guys, you'll be able to talk to them and see how they go about sourcing the cards. But the other thing too, there's a bit of a barrier for us because it's easier for them to source cards when you've got shows on every weekend. Like, you can go there, make some trades, because if you're a breaker and you're doing packs, you know what I mean, you could break cards and if you've got spots in other people's breaks, or you buy the cards off people that have pulled in your breaks, it's like, okay, I've got this now. I can go trade that for 4 cards, which we can put into our packs. And because there's a show on next week. So there's so many things, but I'm sure you'll find heaps of ideas. And like you said, you are going to the National, and I know there's a few Aussies actually going. So
yeah, we spoke to a couple of people, like DG Collectibles is going. Cherry obviously are going.
Yeah.
Zach from Mint is going.
Yeah.
There should be a few of us there.
Maybe Tyson, this will probably come out over on the weekend, this pod, but Tyson Beck put something in his story today, and he's actually going. He bought a ticket.
Yeah, I reached out to him and said we'll be there. So we'll catch up for sure. It should be really good. So we're setting up a PSG office in Utah on the way to the National. So we want to obviously try and reverse the trend. So a lot of Aussies send their cards to America to grade. We want Americans to send cards to us to grade. But we think that trust is probably a big thing, and they probably won't send to us in Australia. So we're opening an office in Utah, and then hopefully that sort of builds some trust within the hobby in America. We've got a stack of slabs that we're just giving away. We want to try and record as much as possible. We know we'll probably go live with the PSG podcast at the preview of the National, which is I think the Wednesday night. So it's a 4-hour preview. We'll probably be walking the show there for the PSG podcast. So ideally, we find some, a lot of the guys that I follow on Twitter and Instagram are like pretty big identities in the hobby. So I'd love to, reach out to them or get a shout out or speak to a couple on the podcast. That'd be pretty cool. I'd love to, I don't know if you know Brody Rips, I think his name is, that kid who rips packs every day. I love that. So love to catch up with him. There's just so much. Obviously they keep listing more and more people there that are signing autos. I don't know if you know, but the guy or some of the cars from the Sandlot kids are signing autos.
Oh, really?
So that'll be cool. AI's there, Floyd Mayweather. There's a couple of big there. I think BJ's trying to get some more Robert Horry that he doesn't have.
Nice.
We've graded a stack of Pat McAfee cards that we're taking over to give away, and just trying to get people's reactions and feedback, because there's one thing to have, a presence in Australia, and the aim is obviously still to be number one in Australia, but we want to be worldwide. We want to be collaborating with as many people as possible.
You're taking a step that no other Australian grading company has done.
Oh yeah, so, I don't know if they have or not.
No, I don't think they have.
They haven't.
They haven't.
Yeah, okay.
They haven't.
No.
So you're taking a massive leap, and not for anything, as we said before, risks are what you have to do. Like if you sit and you wait, like there's a whole list of people in the hobby, people, companies, brands that have sat and waited. A lot of people were just in it for a short-term stint, pumped themselves up, said they were oracles and prophets of this hobby, made the money, went down. Like obviously the market's down and they're nowhere to be seen. They've turned into Casper the Ghost. So it's just what it is. You got to take that leap of faith. You guys are doing amazing things. We are actually super, super glad that we are doing a bulk sub for you here in Victoria. We're trying to get that obviously built, and hopefully more people start subbing. And, I think there might be something that we can try and link up at the Hobby Hangout with, potentially just letting people know that post this show, there is an avenue for them to
definitely
send their cards. Like that's probably something we can do. But
you guys have got a stall there this time as well?
We're in the process of working out what we're doing or how we're going to go about doing things. So I think we found last time for ourselves is because we're predominantly content creators, and like we do sell stuff because we got cards, but it was super difficult to get out and create the content. We felt that we were stuck to our table. It's like it was really good because heaps of people came there and we get to meet a lot of people, but we want to get out there and try and put the focus on people in the hobby and like collectors and stalls.
It's going to be really hard for me at the National to take off my PSG hat, and because I'm a collector. So there's like a couple of like things that I want to see that, you know, I don't know if they really tie into PSG, but there's this one app called Collects app. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's basically a Fujitsu front-loading printer, and you put in raw cards, and it basically can comp and price them in bulk, and then upload them to like an eBay or something like that. It's not available in Australia yet. I've tried to download it. I'm going to actually use a VPN probably tonight when I get home to try and do it. But it looks cool, and it saves time. Like, because, you know, listing cards on eBay or wherever is a real pain in the ass. Like, it could be a breakthrough product for shops, for everyone. You know, like, it could just make everything easier.
That's sick.
So that's exciting. There's so many cool stuff that I like.
Yeah, stuff that saves time is a winner, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the big concern would be whether it damages cards. I'm not sure. Like, but it looks like it's just load in the top and comes out the bottom. So we'll see. Yeah, content creation. Like, it's funny. Like, who did I see? Dan the Card Man. He was at the Hobby Hangout in Sydney. But he's one of those guys. There's only a few, like yourselves, Matt's Card Shop, Cherry. There's not that many people that continuously pump out content, and different content. You know, like, this is a different show than your normal show. So, and that's the stuff that I like. I don't like. I assume the majority of people want different content, not just the same, you know, regurgitated stuff. Like, oh yeah, you know, that triple logo man stuff was cool, but I was over it, you know, after not long. Like, just sell the card. Like, who cares?
Yeah, we're trying. Like, it's
2.4 million. That's a great price. I don't know what everyone was complaining about. Like,
that's what I said, mate. If I get 2.4 million for a piece of cardboard, give me that every day of the week.
I thought it would go for more, but I thought there'd be a late bidding war between, like, you know, Steve Aoki and Drake or something like that. So, like, I was wrong for that, but I'm not complaining. Like, it went $2.4 million. You know, like, the guy pulled it in a break and turned it into 2.4 million within a couple of months. We should be on our hands and knees, like, praising this bloke. That's the absolute dream.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone just shat on it.
But that's what always happens. Like, I think we're on a bit of like a crusade at the moment, the two of us, like on our weekly show, with like fucking just trying to point out the obvious to people out there. Like, it might sound like we're so cynical about the hobby. We genuinely love the hobby. That's why we started giving inserts of the week on top of a Saucy Smoky, if Saucy has been buying anything recently. But, you know, insert of the week, trying to just point people into the direction of where the hobby started and the foundation. I know a lot of people say, oh, you can't say to tell people to buy what they love. Well, you can, because originally the hobby was built on the foundation of collecting what you actually
100% we should be telling people to buy what they love.
Like,
because
whoever says, oh, you shouldn't be saying that, like, well, you're in it for the commercial side of it all, like the flipping game. You actually don't give a shit about the cardboard in itself at all. Like, so I think we're moving towards that, and I think the crusade is more against the corporate hobby, which I can't, in all honesty, Chris, I actually can't believe the fact that people can't see that they're all in it for money and they actually don't give a shit.
Don't rile BJ up about this, because he's on that crusade as well at the moment.
Yeah, I just don't
back a little bit.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously, like as I mentioned before, back to like partnering with yourself, and we're trying to get our content out there to the point where we want to be recognized as one of the best podcasts in Australia. You know, I don't think we're fully tapped into that market here in Australia yet. I don't think, like, for us personally, but working with great organizations,
definitely
like
haven't.
yourself,
got to get those YouTube subs up, mate. Got to get those.
Yeah,
YouTube
but working with Platinum Standard Grading, and obviously we know the boys at Cherry. We know Matt's Card Shop really, really well. He's an awesome content creator. So, you know, if you're in the Double Coverage Discord, you always get notifications when Matty uploads on his YouTube. Yeah. So we've actually set a bot.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, but we've literally set a bot for him, so his content can get out there to people as well. And it's all about it was built on a community focus, the hobby, and that's what I think we should be really, really, I don't know, driving towards once again, because it was community focused, and then it got really, really commercialized, and it turned into just like
very quickly as well.
Yeah, it just turned into profits, because, you know, when money's to be made, everyone comes a flocking. So
yeah. So I love dollar bins or flick trays, and that's what I like to do. So when I go to a card shop, it's probably I'll spend an hour doing that just to find that one, gem, even if it's just one card.
We do the same thing.
Yeah, I was disappointed. So Marco at Big Boss Collectibles, every time I see his flick trays, I'm straight in there because a lot of the time I pull a card out and he's like, "No, I don't even want to sell that. I didn't know it was there. Give it back," sort of stuff. He's just got such. I love it, and it's just for me. Like everyone's different. Everyone's in it for different reasons, but I think the card shop has sort of gone away for at least the ones I've. So hobby shops, for example, like Warhammer 40K or whatever. I was doing a tour of them, like of hobby shops, and the thing that I saw the most was that they have this space. All of them have this space where it's simple. It's just tables, chairs, and a TV or whatever. And so you go there, and there's no pressure to buy, or it's just people there talking cards, and that's for me that's what you want to encourage. Like, so card shops. Like I went to Diggers down in Penrith in Sydney, mate. That place is absolutely impeccable. So it was spotlessly clean. Everything was set up perfectly, and then that's in the card, like in the cards. Be huge.
I know, massive, isn't it?
You go in the room on the left, and all it is they got the basketball game or whatever, but there's just tables and chairs, TV, and it's just like there was a bloke there who had just bought a stack of cards from an op shop. He was just in there sorting. I'd bought a couple boxes, so I was there ripping. It was just like that's what you want to encourage. You want kids to come in and buy a pack or trade or whatever it is. And there's a lot of TCG up on the Gold Coast. So like Good Games, for example, they have a theme night every night of the week, and there's 40, 50, 60 people there just playing. That's what you want. Like you don't need to be like
I got to
like these people for money to buy overpriced mega boxes or whatever.
Yeah, I'll tell you a crazy one. Like that, back onto like that Warhammer type stuff. Yep. I got a family member that's massive into like just modeling, like just plain models, tank models, all that type of stuff. And I went with them to the annual model show. That's their hobby, and I'm like, you know what? I'll go with them. I'll support them. It doesn't bother me. I don't have an interest. I don't paint models. I don't do any of that to any sort. But I actually went into it because firstly, I wanted to support the family member. Yep. But secondly was I want to catch a vibe of a different hobby, and I want to get a look in and a perspective from something completely different to what we're involved in.
Yep.
And went in there, and it is chalk and cheese with our hobby, man. Like, so on the outside is all like the stalls and people that like can set up like you and I, but there's actual hobby stores as well. And they sell like kits for people to buy and paints and all these types of things. In the middle, there was genuinely, I reckon there was 8 tables, and they're full of models that have been done by people like you and I, that's their passion, hobby clubs too. And they're for judging. So it's like a showcase in the middle.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, there is not one word of, the person I was with, they go, oh, you know what, these have gone up a bit since COVID, some of these kits. But, from $22 to $35, it's like, fuck, it's gone up. It's gone up. It's a bit expensive, some of them. But not once did I hear one person turn around and say, yeah, I bought like 4 kits in 2019 and I've just been flipping them all. And I flipped this one and that one, and now I can buy this one, and I'm going to hold this one for like a month, and now I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to go buy this.
Yeah.
They genuinely enjoy talking to each other about the hobby,
100%,
buying things that they love. Like some people into Warhammer, some people into anime models, some people into World War II planes, World War I planes. It's like, it was freaking sick. It was so sick to be involved in that and be like, I don't even know what you're fucking talking about, but it doesn't really matter. This is what we want. And this is the type of people that we actually converse with a lot. So
I went to a shop up in Brisbane recently. We went on their website or their Facebook page, and they'd said there was a Marvel tabletop game event blah blah blah, all welcome sort of thing. And I was in Brisbane that night, had nothing else to do, so me and a mate dropped in, and it was this new game, and there would have been 30 people there. So this place had an awesome setup. They sell booze, had a coffee machine, a full nice setup, and this is like in the main mall of Brisbane. And the two people organising it were so keen to teach us the game or answer any question we wanted. I was just saying to my mate, like, you'd never walk into a card shop and someone would like sit down and explain the rules and the way everything worked, and then there was people playing the game and they were like, oh, watch, and as they were playing they were explaining it. And that's the thing we think we miss in sports cards, is that there's no playability. So like, with Pokemon you can play, Dragon Ball you can play, but a lot of people, they're just, like you said, in it for the quick money. But these people were so into it that they enjoyed talking about it and showing new people. Like, it's just like you're saying before, chalk and cheese. Like, it's so different, and that is across so many. Like, the board games is huge. There's just so many levels to it. Like, people they're just painting their models. Like, I've got a mate in the office here that he plays, but he's never actually played it yet. He's only been in it, like 6 months, and at the moment he's what did he say he's doing? He's building his army, and so he's buying these models and painting them slowly. But he's enjoying the painting aspect of it, and his army's getting bigger, and he goes to these places, hobby shops, I guess you'd call them, and him and his mates, they don't actually play it; they just paint. So I don't know when he's going to play or if he's going to play, but it just shows that the hobby it's so broad, and remote control cars could be a hobby, or flying drones.
Yeah, there is. Well, there's petrol racing and circuit racing. Like the Scalextrics cars.
Yeah.
Like people actually build Scalextrics cars and race them against each other.
There's so many levels to these hobbies.
Like, it's unreal, man.
Trading car is probably a drop in the ocean, really, of how big it is.
The whole thing is you just got to
everyone's just
embrace
kids
each other.
Have kids mentalities, but now they've got more money to spend on stuff.
Exactly right.
Just buying stuff they couldn't buy when they were kids. Like,
just do what you love. As simple as that. And and don't worry, the Crusade's nowhere near over. I can tell you that much.
I hope not.
It's nowhere near over. So we plan on getting to the national next year. That'll be awesome. Nice. I don't think the people that are going to see us are going to think it's nice, but you know what? Shit happens. Good luck to them.
I was saying to BJ, like, we might not get us back. We might, make such a bad impression that we're banned for life.
Nah, you'll be all right.
Especially if we're coming from Vegas. I might have a Mike Tyson tattoo on my face.
Yeah, he's gonna want it. Then you're gonna want to fight Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah. Jeez, not a chance.
You'd beat him. You'd actually beat him. I reckon.
No way.
Yeah, you'd beat him.
You'd
get his first loss. Just imagine that. We'll interview you next as the person that beat him for the first time. That'll be elite. Yeah. But thank you so much for jumping on.
No worries.
We know.
What are we talking about? My topics for you guys yet, or
have you got something?
I've got two. Got some two.
Got two. All right, let's go.
So, being that I lived in Melbourne as well, I thought I would start with where is the place food-wise. Probably start there. You've got a friend coming to Melbourne visiting for the first time. Where's the place that you'd take them for like that authentic Melbourne fast food late night meal? Yeah.
Well, the most famous one is like Danny's Burgers when it comes to like if you're into burgers and stuff. But Easy's is very good.
Yep, that's the
late night.
Yeah, late night. Wow. Yeah, let's go late night.
Because if you go in like 8 o'clock to 11, there's a lot of places open. If you go after 11, after 12 o'clock,
well, let's go 8 o'clock and then let's go late night. Let's have two.
I'll say Easy's for a nice burger.
That's the one where you're up in the train.
In the train, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty unique. It's good. Yeah. Late night. Oh.
It's got to be a dirty kebab, mate. Somewhere.
It's got to be. That's what I'm thinking.
If you say Swan kebab or something, I'm logging off.
That's what
Nah.
I'm thinking.
Shout out to Kebabs. I have bought a lot of kebabs from there.
Well, me personally, if you're going to go dirty kebab route, but they're actually really good, 5-star kebabs, Spring Street Reservoir. Ask for it in Turkish bread, not pita bread. That's...
Oh, I thought you were going to say ask in Turkish. And don't speak
No,
Turkish.
it's proper good. And they do HSPs there, and they're massive, and they're so good. Great value.
Do you get
late night? Is that late night?
Do you get the holy trinity of sauces? Or
Yeah. Barbecue, garlic, sweet chili.
Yeah,
you got to do that. Yeah, late night sauce. Late night. What's your go-to?
Late night for me.
Don't say Uncle Joe's kebabs, mate, because we've been eating Uncle Joe's kebabs since we were in high school.
And I'm sure there is better options out there. Probably we've just never ventured. Sometimes when you live north side, northeast side, you don't go out the other side, northwest side. You don't go out the other side as much. But I usually go. There's kebab box near you. I don't mind crazy kebab. That's there's just kebab galore. I can't anything. If after 12 o'clock, it's got to be a kebab for me. Like stuff Macca's, stuff anything else. It's kebab only. So
kebab only.
Yeah, late night.
Good restaurant.
We used to order delivery or Uber Eats at my old work late. Was it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights? And we would have the same 5 or 6 things like every single time, like it'd be like Guzman, a burger place or whatever. And the amount of times that we'd get like, I forget the name of it, but like this Greek place that did kebabs. It used to be next to a strip club. What the fuck was it called? It was on Elizabeth Street. But everyone would be in food comas for like the next 30 minutes, like just getting the meat sweats, and no one would be talking. And there'd be like 30 blokes in the office.
I love it. A nice restaurant though, Greek restaurant. If I was going to bring someone out to a restaurant like 8 to 11, I say GRK Kitchen in Thornbury.
Yep,
packed to the rafters. It's sick there. Like really, really nice.
Authentic Greek food.
Yeah, authentic. Yep, owned by Greeks, cooked by Greeks. Really, really good.
Best pastries in town as well.
Oh,
best pastries in town. It sounds like a promo.
Shout out to
something.
Shout out to the guy that made the pastries, mate. He's got his own business now, and he's killing.
Really?
It. Yeah, he's killed it that much that he's gone away during the winter months to Greece. And you'll come back in spring, I think. So Tucky, that's Tucky's pastry.
Hella
Shout
good
out to
was that Greek takeaway place we used to get.
Hella good. I like it.
Hella good.
Yeah, so there's a few options. There's heaps of them out there. There's probably some on the top of my head. I fucking got no idea.
There's so many
slip in my mind.
cuisines as well.
Okay, if you've had a couple beers at the footy, you've walked back into Flinders. Is it Flinders Street, the main station?
Yeah, Southern Cross.
No.
Oh, from where? From Marvel or
from the MCG? Sorry, from the G.
Flinders. Yeah,
so you're at Flinders and you want a quick bite. Where are you going?
Fuck, I'm walking up to Crown. From fucking Flinders, I'm walking to Crown.
It's late-ish. It's late-ish.
It'd be like 9 o'clock.
Oh, things. Asian beer cafes there, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd probably head to Chinatown. There's a couple of dumpling houses I like going to in Chinatown. Yeah. I love Simpson's Burgers. That used to be a regular.
Where's that? Never heard of that one. Simpson's Burgers.
It's a great question. I don't know the answer. Right near. I don't know. Right near the Carlton Club. If you know where that is.
Okay.
Yeah. There's heaps of nice bars and stuff opening up now, and there's heaps. I was talking to someone today. They're talking about El Camino.
Yep. Yeah. There's a couple up here.
Fitzroy. There's one. He was saying really, really good.
Have you been to Biggie Smalls? Is that still a thing down there?
Yeah, Biggie Smalls. Yeah.
Don't like it. Not a fan.
Don't like it.
I don't think I've ever eaten
music's
there.
Good.
Music's good, but food.
And my next one was, what was the last concert you went to?
Oh yeah.
And when was it? Because I asked this in the office today, and it has been a while for a lot of people and myself.
Fuck.
My last concert was February 2020.
I don't know. All I know is it was either Above and Beyond or it was
Saucy getting on the disco bickies.
Nah. I was pretty sober that night, actually.
Yeah.
I went there with the missus, mate. Went there with the missus. She wanted to go. Oh, not for me.
What was your last, Chris?
My last, I'm pretty sure, was Tool in Melbourne.
I don't know who that is.
There you go.
American rock band, I guess.
Okay. I can't remember if it was. I don't fucking know. It's either. I know it's either two. It's. Yep. I don't know if they came before or after each other. Queen, with Adam Lambert when they were here.
Yeah. Yep.
And then when I was on my honeymoon in Vegas, the wife and I went and watched Aerosmith.
Oh wow! So, were you belting out that
Dream
song?
On? Walk This Way?
No, the one about the that movie where the fucking asteroids coming to Earth.
Oh yeah. I don't want to close my eyes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was good. They were awesome.
Serenading the missus. I can see it now.
Yeah, it was all good.
Well, actually, now you said you couldn't remember if it was that. Mine was either Tool or Fatboy Slim.
Oh, Fatboy Slim.
I'm
right there.
Sure yeah, I've got a pretty eclectic taste in music, so
I listen to anything and everything.
I went and saw a band that played the whole Dr. Dre 2001 album with a live band, and they had they rapped it as well. That was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I think it was the Fatboy Slim or Tool. I'm pretty sure it was Tool because not long after the one of the guys in the band got COVID, and they found out he got it in New Zealand. Traveled to Australia, played multiple shows, and then went back to America.
Hey, that's good timing because we were in the same boat when it came to Aerosmith because obviously COVID stopped all the shows, and then Steven Tyler got hurt and had to get surgery, and he got addicted to painkillers. So he then checked himself into rehab. So they pulled the residency from Vegas. So they actually don't have the show there anymore. So he checked himself into rehab. So until he's out, they can't play in Vegas. So we got real lucky.
That's sick. Yeah, well, that's one thing I want to do in Vegas is go to shows. I'm dying to see the Beatles Circus LA, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm a huge Beatles fan, so that's one thing I want to do. I don't know who's playing there. I'm sure Celine Dion's probably singing there.
Lady Gaga's got a residency there.
Really?
Yeah, I think she's got a residency there. Oh, let's have a look, mate.
Mate, plenty to do in Vegas, the city that never sleeps, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't get there. I haven't.
Apparently, there's some Mexican blokes that are.
Oh, he's frozen. See us all. Usher? Usher's playing? Usher's there, mate. Come on, man.
My internet.
Tell you something I am doing that you might find interesting. Watching Chelsea play Club America at the new Raiders Stadium.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
So Chelsea with Ronaldo. That'll be pretty good.
That's not confirmed yet, is it?
It's not going to happen.
No.
These people have lost the plot if they reckon that's going to happen.
He's going. Is he staying in the Premier League?
Yeah. If he leaves, in all honesty, I will be so surprised if he leaves. As a Man United fan, I'll be super, super surprised. I think the only reason he's doing what he's doing is because the club was literally sitting on their hands. They hadn't signed anyone. And Ronaldo was like, fuck, we've had the off-season. We're coming back to training. Where's all the signings? So they start getting used to our game style. So funnily enough, he made his comments and then...
It'd be nice to replace Sadio Mane with Cristiano Ronaldo. Just
that'll never happen. They got Darwin Núñez over there. Darwin Núñez. That's not a bad pickup for Liverpool.
And then I think the other thing we're going to the WWE Monday Night Raw in
you're all over these.
Garden. Yeah. So that'll be sick. I'm obviously going to Madison Square Garden #1, but
Oh, so it's a full trip. So, yeah, because you're it's in Atlantic City.
Yeah. So from Utah, we're opening the office in Utah.
Yeah.
Then we go to New York, where we've got a couple of days as tourists.
Yeah.
WWE Raw, and then we're planning to see Inter Miami versus somebody
MLS.
at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. So that's there. So hopefully we do that, and then we've got the card show, obviously, the national.
Make sure you get heat. I want all of this on the Platinum Standard Grading Instagram story. I want all of it. I want to
it'll be. So me and BJ have one as well, so there'll be some on our podcast. But then I'm flying, and then I'm going to New York, back to New York after Atlantic City, and then I'm flying to London for the Com Games. I'm going up to Birmingham to watch some esports.
Oh, nice! That'll be great.
Yeah, should be fun.
What esports? Do you know? What
there's 3. It's FIFA.
Surely F1's in there.
Dota 2, and there's one more.
League of Legends.
No.
Fortnite.
I've blanked on it. But it's it's in the Commonwealth Games, but it's not. So they get medals, but it's not counted to the medal tally.
Fair enough.
Because it's not officially part of it, but they reckon it'll be part of the Olympics soon.
It will be, they reckon.
Yeah, they reckon in Australia, like in Brisbane. That's
very interesting. Very interesting. You know, we'll have esports.
Naming on the map.
During lockdown, because Melbourne lived.
Oh, Rocket League's the other one in Birmingham.
Oh, Rocket League. Yeah. That's massive, Rocket League. I played a bit of that during lockdown as well, me and my mates, but the main one was Call of Duty. Oh my gosh. Every single day.
What, Warzone?
I'm not joking. No. We played a bit of Warzone, but we played multiplayer, because there was so many of us. You're in like a bit of a clan. But I shit you not, every night for as long as lockdown went for, it was Call of Duty. Every night.
Really?
Every night. Well, we couldn't do anything. We had curfews at 9 o'clock. Couldn't do shit. So it was just
me and my housemates made up games in the garage. Like we made up like putt courses, and we made this game called Bucket Ball, which is just throwing a ball in a bucket. We played it for hours. We had competitions, and
it's not as good as Clown Ball that we created in high school.
What was that?
With a whole group of mates. We took the bladder out of a normal ball, and you just kick it in the air, and there was goals. There was like soccer goals and like footy goals.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the game was you just a clown. You just beat the shit out of each other. There was no rules.
Oh, sick.
It was just dumb. Just imagine doing that at high school, and the teachers are like, "What the hell are these two?" They're like, not us two, but these bunch of guys doing. We went to an all-boys school. Kicking around this bladder, with people trying to run through rugby style, getting spear tackle onto asphalt. There was no grass. Like, it was just dumb. Typical boy dumb shit. Like, I think that's
we called it clown ball. Because it was literally, you were literally a clown by playing that game.
Yeah, exactly right. Idiots. We were just idiots. But done and dusted. 2-hour mark. We've smashed through it. Once again, big thank you. It's good to get you on a different level. I think Double Coverage will be bringing a lot more of these different types of podcasts, not just card related, but card related topics.
Yeah.
All types of stuff. So thanks for being like the first guest.
Oh, am I number one? I didn't know that.
No, you're the first guest to venture into this different type of format.
Yep.
So we're going to try and get a lot more people on. And
usually, predominantly we're usually keeping it card related, about your collection and that sort of thing. But, like when you meet people in the hobby, there's more layers to obviously the person than just collecting cards. And a lot of the time, the journey to them collecting cards has come through something else. Or some other means, or they've fallen into cards for some reason or another. And there's always like some other stories behind people. So, it's
I think
cool
I saw
to learn those sorts of things too.
An Instagram thing on an account I follow in the States, and it was like drop your occupation underneath. And like these, obviously all these like huge card collecting accounts that you follow, and it's like, accountant, school teacher, blah blah blah, and it's just like, wow, like you said, there's so many levels to these. Like some people were like, oh, I'm a, I don't know, like
could be a pharmacist or a
could be could be a test driver for a Formula 3 team, or like there's just so many obviously occupations. Like I think one guy was like a designer for satellites or something.
Fuck.
And it was just like, wow, like these accounts that you obviously have no idea because it's just words and pictures on a screen, but like there are obviously, like they've got real life, they're real people, So
more than meets the eye, mate. It's
yeah, and that's another thing of the hobby is like these shows that people do. Like a lot of people know each other for so long on these online forums or groups or Facebook pages that have never met in real life. So it's crazy, like to see that, people that have known each other for like more than 10 years online, but then have never met in real life. Like it's crazy.
It's insane. It really is. Putting faces to names it's sick. Meeting each other in person. It's a whole different aspect to the hobby, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But once again, like I said, thank you so much for jumping on. We do appreciate it for giving up your time on behalf of myself, the great man Sauce, and Chris, the great man. Keep living, loving, and breathing sports. Double coverage. Peace.
Peace. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports. Double curve.